Good? Can you hear me? Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful. Okay, let's begin with a blessing. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzavanu la'asok b'divrei. Blessed art thou, Yehovah our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with thy commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of Torah. Our Torah portion today is parasha number 8, Vayishlach. He sent. It begins in Bereshit, Genesis 32, verse 4, perhaps verse 3, depending upon how your translation is enumerated. But it begins with the word Yaakov, so that will help you. And we will read the entire Torah portion. And then I want to make 2 points after that, and then we'll see how we go as far as discussion goes following that. Yaakov sent messengers ahead of him to Esav, his brother, toward the land of Seir, the country of Edom, with these instructions. Here is what you are to say to my lord Esav. Your servant Yaakov says, I have been living with Laban and have stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, and flocks, and male and female servants. I am sending to tell this news to my Lord in order to win your favor. The messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, we went to your brother Esav, and he is coming to meet you. With him are 400 men. Yaakov became greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people, flocks, cattle, and camels with him into 2 camps, saying, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, at least the camp that is left will escape. Then Yaakov said, God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Yitzhak, Jehovah, who told me, return to your country and your kinsmen, and I will do you good. I'm not worthy of all the love and faithfulness you have shown your servant, since I crossed the Jordan with only my staff. But now I have become 2 camps. Please, rescue me from my brother Esau. I'm afraid of him, afraid he'll come and attack me without regard for mothers and children. You said, I will certainly do you good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of sand by the sea, which are so many they can't be counted. He stayed there that night. Then he chose from among his possessions the following as a present for Esav, his brother: 200 female goats and 20 males, 200 female sheep and 20 males, 30 milk camels and their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 colts. He turned them over to his servants. Every drove by itself, and said to his servants, cross over in front of me and keep a ravak. and keep a space between each drove and the next one. He instructed the servant in front, when Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, whose servant are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are these? Then you are to say, they belong to your servant Yaakov, and they are a present he has sent to my lord Esau. And Yaakov himself is just behind us. He also instructed the second servant and the third and all that followed the droves. When you encounter Esau, you are to speak to him in the same way. And you are to add, and there, just behind us, is your servant Yaakov. For he said, I will appease him first with the present that goes ahead of me. Then, after that, I will see him myself. And maybe he will be friendly toward me. So the present crossed over ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. He got up that night, took his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, and his 11 children, and forded the Yabok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and then sent his possessions across. And Yaakov was left alone. Then some man wrestled with him until daybreak. When he saw that he did not defeat Yaakov, he struck Yaakov's hip socket, so that his hip was dislocated while wrestling with him. The man said, let me go, because it is daybreak. But Yaakov replied, I won't let you go unless you bless me. The man asked, what is your name? And he answered, Yaakov. Then the man said, from now on, you will no longer be called Yaakov, but Yisrael, because you have shown your strength to both God and men and have prevailed. Yaakov asked him, please, tell me your name. But he answered, why are you asking about my name? And blessed him there. Yaakov called the place Peniel, face of God, because I have seen God face to face, yet my life is spared. As the sun rose upon him, he went on past Peniel, limping at the hip. This is why to this day the people of Israel do not eat the thigh muscle that passes along the hip joint socket, because the man struck Yaakov's hip at its socket. Chapter 33. Yaakov raised his eyes and looked out, and there was Esau coming, and 400 men with him. So Yaakov divided the children between Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave girls, putting the slave girls and their children first, Leah and her children second, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he himself passed on ahead of them and prostrated himself on the ground 7 times before approaching his brother. Esau ran to meet him, hugged him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him. And they wept. Esau looked up on seeing the women and children. He asked, "Who are these with you?" Yaakov answered, "The children God has graciously given to your servant." Then the slave girls approached with their children, and they prostrated themselves. Leah, too, and her children approached and prostrated themselves. And last came Joseph and Rachel, and they prostrated themselves. Esau asked, "What was the meaning of this procession of droves that I encountered?" And he answered, "It was to win my Lord's favor." Esau replied, "I have plenty already, my brother. Keep your possessions for yourself." Yaakov said, "No, please. If now I have won your favor, then accept my gift. Just seeing your face has been like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me. So please accept the gift I have brought you. For God has dealt kindly with me, and I have enough." Thus he urged him until he accepted it. Esau said, "Let's break camp and get going. I'll go first." Yaakov said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are small, and the sheep and the cattle, suckling their young, concern me. Because if they overdrive them even one day, all the flocks will die. Instead, please, let my Lord go on ahead of his servant. I will travel more slowly, at the pace of the cattle ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." Esau replied, "Then let me leave with you some of the people I have with me." But Yaakov said, "There's no need for my Lord to be so kind to me." So Esau left that day to return to Seir. Yaakov went on to Sukkot, where he built himself a house and put up shelters for his cattle. This is why the place is called Sukkot, shelters. Having traveled from Padam Aram, Yaakov arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and set up camp near the city. From the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of silver the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent. There he built an altar, which he called El Elohe Yisrael, God, the God of Yisrael. Chapter 34. One time, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to visit the local girls. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivi, the local ruler, saw her, grabbed her, raped her, and humiliated her. But actually, he was strongly attached to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. He fell in love with the girl and tried to win her affection. Shechem spoke with his father Hamor and said, "Get this girl for me. I want her to be my wife." When Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Yaakov restrained himself until they came. Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him, just as Yaakov's sons were coming in from the field. When they heard what had happened, the men were saddened and were very angry at the outrage this man had committed against Israel by yet raping Yaakov's daughter, something that is simply not done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem's heart is set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife and intermarry with us. Give your daughters to us and take our daughters for yourselves. You will live with us, and the land will be available to you. You'll live, do business, and acquire possessions here." Then Shechem said to her father and brothers, "Only accept me, and I will give whatever you tell me. Ask as large a bride price as you like. I'll pay whatever you tell me. Just let me marry the girl." The sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. They said to them, "We can't do it, because it would be a disgrace to give our sister to someone who hasn't been circumcised. Only on this condition will we consent to what you are asking, that you become like us by having every male among you get circumcised. Then we'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take your daughters for ourselves, and we'll live with you and become one people. But if you won't do as we say and get circumcised, then we'll take our daughter and go away." What they said seemed fair to Hamor and Shechem, the son of Hamor. And the young man did not put off doing what was asked of him, even though he was the most respected member of his father's family, because he so much wanted Yaakov's daughter. Hamor and Shechem, his son, came to the entrance of their city and spoke with its leading men. "These people are peaceful toward us. Therefore, let them live in the land and do business in it. For, as you can see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives for ourselves, and we'll give them our daughters. But the people will consent to live with us and become one people only on this condition, that every male among us gets circumcised, as they themselves are circumcised. Won't their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals be ours? Only let's consent to do what they ask, and then they will live with us." Everyone going out of the city's gate listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. So every male was circumcised, everyone that went out the gate of the city. On the third day after the circumcision, when they were in pain, two of Yaakov's sons, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords, boldly descended on the city, and slaughtered all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with their swords, took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and left. Then the sons of Yaakov entered over the dead bodies of those who had been slaughtered, and plundered the city in reprisal for defiling their sister. They took their flocks, cattle, and donkeys, and everything else, whether in the city or in the field. Everything they owned. Their children and wives they took captive, and they looted whatever was in the houses. But Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, "You have caused me trouble by making me stink in the opinion of the local inhabitants, the Canaani and the Perizi. Since I don't have many people, they will align themselves together against me and attack me, and I will be destroyed, I and my household." They replied, "Should we let our sister be treated like a whore?" Chapter 35. God said to Yaakov, "Get up, go up to Beit El and live there, and make there an altar to God who appeared to you when you fled Esau, your brother." Then Yaakov said to his household and all the others with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods that you have with you. Purify yourselves and put on fresh clothes. We're going to move on and go up to Beit El. There I will build an altar to God who answered me when I was in such distress and stayed with me wherever I went." They gave Yaakov all the foreign gods in their possessions and the earrings they were wearing. And Yaakov buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. While they were traveling, a terror from God fell upon the cities around them, so that none of them pursued the sons of Yaakov. Yaakov and all the people with him arrived at Luz, that is Beit El, in the land of Canaan. He built there an altar and called the place El Beit El, God of Beit El, because it was there that God was revealed to him at the time when he was fleeing from his brother. Then Devorah, Rivka's nurse, died. She was buried below Beit El under the oak, which was given the name Alon Bakut. After Yaakov arrived from Padam Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Yaakov, but you will be called Yaakov no longer. Your name will be Yisrael." Thus he named him Yisrael. God further said to him, "I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed a group of nations, will come from you. Kings will be descended from you. Moreover, the land which I gave to Abraham and Yitzhak, I will give to you, and I will give the land to your descendants after you." Then God went up from him there where he had spoken with him. Yaakov set up a standing stone in the place where he had spoken with him, a stone pillar. Then he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Yaakov called the place where God spoke with him Beit El. When they traveled on from Beit El, and while they were still some distance to go before arriving in Ephrat, Rachel went into labor, and she had great difficulty with it. While she was undergoing this hard labor, the midwife said to her, "Don't worry, this is also a son for you." But she died in childbirth. As she was dying, she named her son Ben-Oni, son of my grief. But his father called him Benjamin, son of the right hand, son of the south. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrat, that is, Bethlehem. Yaakov set up a standing stone on her grave. It is the standing stone of Rachel's grave to this day. Yisrael continued his travels and pitched his tent on the other side of Migdal Eder. It was while Yisrael was living in that land that Reuben went and slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine. And Yisrael heard about it. Yaakov had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yishakar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, were Gad and Asher. These were Yaakov's sons, born to him in Padan Aram. Yaakov came home to his father, Yitzhak, at Mamre, near Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, where Abraham and Yitzhak had lived as foreigners. Yitzhak lived to be 180 years old. Then he breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people, an old man, full of years, and his sons, Esav and Yaakov, buried him. Chapter 36. This is the genealogy of Esav, that is, Edom. Esav chose Canaanite women as his wives. Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Sivon the Hivi. And Basmat, Yishmael's daughter, sister of Nebayot. Ada bore to Esav Eliphaz. Basmat bore Reuel. And Oholibamah bore Yeush, Yalam, and Korach. These were the sons of Esav, born to him in the land of Canaan. Esav took his wives, his sons and daughters, the others in his household, his cattle and other animals, and everything else he owned, which he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went off to a country distant from his brother Yaakov. For their possessions had become too great for them to live together. And the countryside through which they were traveling couldn't support so much livestock. So Esav lived in the hill country of Seir. Esav is Edom. This is the genealogy of Esav, the father of Edom, in the hill country of Seir. The names of Esav's sons were Eliphaz, son of Ada, the wife of Esav, and Reuel, the son of Basmat, the wife of Esav. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Sepho, Gatam, and Naz. Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz's Esav's son, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the descendants of Ada, Esav's wife. The sons of Reuel were Nachat, Zerach, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basmat, Esav's wife. These were the sons of Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Sivon, Esav's wife. She bore to Esav Yeush, Yalam, and Korach. The chieftains of the sons of Esau were the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, and the chieftains of Teman, Omar, Sepho, Kenaz, Korach, Gatam, and Amalek. These were the chieftains descended from Eliphaz and Edom and from Ada. The sons of Reuel, Esau's son, were the chieftains of Nachat, Zerach, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the chieftains descended from Reuel in the land of Edom and from Basmat, Esau's wife. The sons of Olivama, Esau's wife, were the chieftains of Yeush, Yalam, and Korach. These were the chieftains descended from Oholivama, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. These were the descendants of Esau, that is Edom, and these were their chieftains. These were the descendants of Seir, the Hori, the local inhabitants: Lotan, Shoval, Sivion, Anna, Dishon, Etzer, and Dishan. They were the chieftains descended from the Hori, the people of Seir in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Hemam. Lotan's sister was Timnah. The sons of Shoval were Alvan, Manachat, Eval, Shapho, and Onam. The sons of Sivon were Aya and Anna. This is the Anna who found the hot springs in the desert while pasturing his father Ziphaon's donkeys. The children of Anna were Dishon and Oholivama, the daughter of Anna. The sons of Dishon were Hemdan, Eshban, Yitran, and Kran. The sons of Etzer were Bilhan, Zaavan, and Akan. The sons of Dishon were Uts and Aran. These were the chieftains descended from the Hori, the chieftains of Lotan, Shoval, Sivaon, Anna, Dishon, Etzer, and Dishan. These were the chieftains descended from the Hori by the clans of Seir. Following are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king had reigned over the people of Yisrael. Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. The name of his city was Dinhavah. When Bela died, Yovav, the son of Zerach, from Botzrah, reigned in his place. When Yovav died, Husham, from the land of the Temani, reigned in his place. When Husham died, Hadad, the son of Bedad, who killed Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place. The name of his city was Avit. When Hadad died, Shamla of Masrekah reigned in his place. When Shamla died, Shaul of Rekovot by the river reigned in his place. When Shaul died, Baal Hanan, the son of Akbor, reigned in his place. When Baal Hanan died, Hadar reigned in his place. The name of his city was Paul, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Be-Sahav. These are the names of the chieftains descended from Esau, according to their clans, places, and names. The chieftains of Timnah, Alva, Yetet, Ohalavama, Ella, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mivsar, Migdael, and Aram. These were the chieftains of Edom, according to their settlements in the land they owned. This is Esav, the father of Edom. We have read the Torah portion for today. That's a blessing for all of us. Some may wonder the value of reading that last chapter. So many names. I don't know. But I do know that it will be a great blessing for us. One thought I have is that chapter, that long chapter, honors Asaph. It honors Asaph in Scripture. It shows Elohim's value and how much he loved and valued Asaph, the firstborn of Yitzhak. There's probably a lot more. Who knows what? Only God alone knows. You could probably uncover a lot of insights just by doing a study of the meaning of those names. Even some of the little side points, some of the historical aspects that are revealed here in Scripture. Who knows yet what value is to be uncovered? Or what value and knowledge has already been uncovered that we simply are not aware of? There are others who know. Okay. So, I have a point I want to make. I paused at one point and gave a Hebrew word, and then I gave the English word for it that was in the text. And if you were following along with the Complete Jewish Bible, how many actually use the Complete Jewish Bible? Okay, so you might have noticed that I did that. I used the word ravak instead of the word space, right? And that's the only word I did that to in that whole reading, that I actually did that to, I think. I may have done something inadvertently. But anyway, I deliberately did that. Ravak. Because there's a significance to that word. And it's ravak, that very term is only used, it's very rare. It's only used one other time in Scripture. Now, there are some words like that in Hebrew, okay? But still, I think that's significant to note because, wow, when? When was it used? Under what circumstances was it used? And perhaps, as Tony Robinson has taught most of us, right, to pay attention to Tony Robinson's thematic analysis of Scripture, which we often utilize to help us understand the themes related to the Scriptures that we're reading, things that are often obscure, brought to our mind and our attention because we begin to see patterns and themes within Scripture, things that are extremely difficult to see in any translation, even the wonderful English translations that we rely upon. Nothing like going back to the original Hebrew and doing deep word studies, Scripture. I would like to encourage all of you to devote whatever time you can to learning Hebrew, and especially you younger ones, because you have a lot more years ahead of you to learn so much more, to enrich your lives and to enrich the rest of us that are still living when you are so wise and knowledgeable and are teachers yourselves. Yeah? We'll listen to you. We will. Okay. So, you want to know where, right? Okay. Esther. Yeah. The one book in the Bible that doesn't even mention God. Not directly. Oh, indirectly, absolutely. But still. That word, ravak, is in Esther chapter 4, verse 14. And it's Mordecai who uses that term. I have a very strong feeling, just a feeling, okay? Opinion, you can call what you like, that Mordecai was a scholar, a studier of the Torah, a Torah teacher, maybe even a rabbi, who knows, right? He gives this admonition to Esther at one point. He says, if you keep silent at this moment, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from some other place. Wow! I mean, this is Mordecai, who cried and wept bitterly when he heard of the announcement, the decree, that the Jews are going to be wiped out. Every man, woman, and child in the entire empire. Thanks to the evil work of Haman in convincing the king to make such a decree. To rip his clothes, to weep and cry bitterly. And that instant, that time, goes back all the way to Esau. Because Esau wept and cried out bitterly when he realized that Yaakov had taken the blessing from him. And now, in some sense, it's almost a type of payback. This is many years yet in the future. Esther was a descendant of the tribe of Benjamin. One of Rachel's descendants through Yaakov. Another connection in there. This word that is translated space in our Torah portion is translated relief in the only other usage of the term, ravak. If you keep silent at this moment, relief, ravak, and deliverance will come to the Jews from some other place. So even though Mordecai has wept bitterly when he heard the pronouncement, he has a confidence that is absolutely amazing and phenomenal when you reflect upon it. Because he even charges Esther. He is warning her. He's encouraging her. Because he says, if she does not rise up at this time, she will be judged. She's the one who will not be saved. The entire nation will be saved. That's Mordecai's faith. And it's based on, well, his trust in God, ultimately. But he uses this same word from this Torah portion for relief, the space that Yaakov used, which was the space that he gave, because within that space there was place to room. There was room to live. And the droves came. The droves came to Esau, one after the other, with the space between them, to work on Esau's heart. And also to show Esau the change of heart of Yaakov. Rachel took 2 kids to prepare the meal for Yitzhak that Yaakov offered to his father before the blessing. That first drove 200 female goats, plus another 20 males. That was just the first drove. The first drove was 100 times more than what he had brought to Yitzhak for the blessing. Just that first drove. And he is giving that to Esau. And then another. And then another. Yaakov, to whatever level of deceit was involved. His name, Yaakov, heel, grasper the heel. That night, before he met Esau, he wrestled with Elohim. And he earned and was given and granted a new name, Yisrael. A name of strength and power and relationship with God. Because not only did Yaakov send a blessing ahead to Esau, he also prayed earnestly to God for deliverance. Because he says, if you keep silent at this moment, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from some other place. I said he, I meant Mordecai said that. Not only is the word ravak used, but the word deliverance is used as well. It's used by Yaakov because it says that he prayed to God for deliverance, and it's the same Hebrew word. Of course, that's used more than once. Deliverance is used a lot more often than ravak is. But nevertheless, in the same context there, it is also used as well. So I think that is a very significant point for us to reflect on as well. That here, Yaakov, he sent word ahead to Esau that he was coming. And then they came back, those messengers came back and said, he's coming with 400 men. And then that set in motion. He prayed. And he wrestled. And he sent the gifts ahead. So that was, this is Yaakov, who is no longer the one who goes roundabout. Deceitful. He's learned a lot about deceit from his uncle, Lavan, right? His great uncle. But he's not that way. He is no longer that way. He did not have to go by way of Mount Seir to get back to Canaan. But he goes to Esau first. And he tells him he's coming. And he comes and they meet. And he restores that relationship. He faces up to his brother. He's up front with him. He's not the roundabout man anymore. He's God's man now. He does things differently. He has learned. So that is a powerful lesson, I think, for us to focus on. I had a second lesson. It's shorter. It's from Holisa Elwine. She is a Torah teacher, wonderful person. She has a teaching out there that is the best instruction I've ever seen in my life on the family. It's a great blessing, no matter what age you are, to listen to and to learn from. But she shares a story that she got from Rabbi Twersky. And it's a very short one, but I wanted to share it with you because it ties into this aspect of discipline. We see the discipline of Yaakov. And we see how he struggled with God all night long. And he's blessed. But that he also sends a blessing himself to his brother Esau and restores relationship there. It's fantastic. But here's a story that she got from Rabbi Twersky about another rabbi who, as a young boy, and this young boy's grandfather was also a rabbi. So, okay, this is a kind of a rabbinic story of sorts. Okay. One night, when Yehuda Aryeh, the future author of Safat Emet, was a young boy, he studied Torah the entire night and did not get to bed until shortly before dawn. Although he slept only a short while, he arose later than usual, and his grandfather, Rabbi Yitzhak Meir, sharply reprimanded him for not arising early to study Torah. The young Yehuda Aryeh absorbed the rebuke in silence. A friend who knew the real reason asked him, "Why didn't you explain to your grandfather why you awoke later?" "What?" said the young Yehuda Aryeh, "and missed the opportunity to hear a reprimand from my grandfather?" How many of you young people love to hear a reprimand from your grandfather? How many of you, us, me, how many of us have been reprimanded by our grandfather and thought it a blessing? This is a wise young man. At a tender age, Yehuda Aryeh understood the profound wisdom of King Solomon, who repeatedly stresses that the wise actively pursue reprimand, while fools avoid it. Discipline is to our character what water is to a plant. Abundant correction promotes growth of character, just as water promotes the growth of a plant. Yehuda Aryeh realized that he could easily have justified his late arising, and perhaps might have even received commendation from his grandfather for his diligence. He knew, however, that while praise may be pleasant, it is not as conducive to growth as is reprimand, even though the latter may be unpleasant. So, isn't that good? Yeah, that's good. Okay, now, okay, yeah, I managed to do it again. I managed to get through the entire Torah portion without getting any questions from my patient listeners. So, don't despair. Please, do not despair. And yes, you may reprimand me afterwards for doing this, but do not despair because, guess what? This afternoon in the library at 3, we will have the Torah portion discussed again. Yeah, okay? So, you're welcome. Any Shabbat, all right. Let's close with another blessing.
Yeah, correction, it's 3:30.
What's that? Oh yeah, 3:30. Okay, 3:30. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. 3:30. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech ha'olam natan lanu torat emet Yeshua Mashiachenu v'kaya olam nata betokohenu. Baruch atah Yehovah noten haTorah. Blessed art thou, Jehovah our God, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth, Yeshua our Messiah, and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed art thou, Jehovah, giver of the Torah. Shabbat Shalom.